Welcome to today's edition of Spiritual Awakening Radio. My name is James Bean. For the sake of the God-conscious beings, heaven and earth came into being. That's the title of today's podcast. Whenever feeling downcast, each person should vitally remember, for my sake, the entire world was created. That's a verse from the Baal Shem Tov of Jewish mysticism, a tradition known as Kabbalah. The Baal Shem Tov is sort of the Rumi or Kabir of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, an example of a towering figure and great mystic in one of the great schools of spirituality. The ending part, for my sake, the entire world was created, is a variation of an ancient axiom of wisdom. A verse of it even turns up, a version of it even turns up in saying 12 of the Gospel of Thomas, thus clearing up a mystery of the Gospel of Thomas, what this saying means, what it's about. Saying 12, Gospel of Thomas, verse 12. The students said to Yeshua, "We know that you will leave us. Who will be our leader?" Yeshua said to them, "Wherever you are, seek out Yaakov the Just, James the Just. For his sake, heaven and earth came into being." For a number of years I read that, and I thought, wow, what an extraordinary claim that the entire cosmos came into being because of James the Just. But I kind of suspected it was an axiom of wisdom that was said about various people. And sure enough, after looking at some books on Kabbalah recently, the mystery gets cleared up that it's an ancient axiom of wisdom coming from the tradition of Jewish mysticism. Martin Buber elaborates and expands on this axiom in a way that includes us all. Every person should know and consider the fact that you, in the particular way that you are made, are unique in the world, and no one like you has ever been. For if someone like you had already been, there would be no reason for you to be in this world. That's a passage from the book 10 Rings, Hasidic Sayings by Martin Buber. Here's a big picture view from the Sikh scriptures of India, the Adi Granth or Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the Peace Lagoon translation, published by the 3HO Yogi Bhajan group. It was for the sake of the God-conscious beings that our true Lord created this earth and began this play of death and birth. Since I'm downloading some books on Kabbalah today, I should also take the opportunity to share this passage on the spiritual journey. The reality of the upper worlds will remain invisible to us until our spiritual path opens up to the higher reality. As the 18th century Kabbalist Moses Luzzatto taught, the higher soul ties man to the highest roots. Thus, the awakening of each higher soul results in an increase in the amount of nourishment the branches of the upper worlds receive, thereby affecting the outcome of events here on earth in a more positive way. Thus, each one of us can have a great influence, and none are powerless. However, like infants who cannot penetrate the mysteries of the adult world, despite the fact that these mysteries are lived out in front of it, the reality of the upper worlds will remain invisible to us until our spiritual path opens up to the higher reality. This higher reality is multidimensional in nature, standing in sharp contrast to the narrowness of everyday life. Once awakened, the human experience becomes vast and boundless as the awakened individual participates in a universal consciousness as broad, deep, and wide as the universe itself. That's a reading from the book Kabbalah of Prayer, Sacred Sounds and the Soul's Journey, about opening up to the higher worlds or the spiritual dimensions, the kingdom of the heavens. Or as we find in the verses of William Blake, every night and every morn some to misery are born. Every morn and every night some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to endless night. We are led to believe a lie when we see not through the eye, which was born in a night to perish in a night, when the soul slept in beams of light. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night, but does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. Some verses excerpted from a poem of William Blake. In that we see a human form described. And there's a reference to a mystic eye, or third eye here as well, that sees divine light. And so really when we talk about opening up to the upper worlds, or the spiritual dimensions, or the kingdom of God that is within us, or the kingdom of the heavens that are within us, a kind of within that's also up at the same time, a way of ascension by going within to go up, or the way out is in. This is all about meditation, learning from a living master, a living teacher, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, being initiated into the mysteries of meditation practice, learning to see with the third eye, to access the divine light, the divine sound, the divine love, the divine reality that is within us. That inner space that we carry around with us in total ignorance, not aware that it's there. Within this human body are bowers and groves and stars, sun, moon, galaxies, links to other dimensions, subtle bodies, astral, causal, mental, etheric. And of course the soul, which is a creature of Satlok, or Sachkan, the spiritual realm, this spark of life, this spark of the soul, abiding in a timeless spiritual realm that is the real self. That's all accessed from within by way of meditation. And then by learning this practice, we may see the upper worlds, the other dimensions. We may begin our own personal journey, exploring inner space. And this is the path of the masters. The path of the masters is not the name of a sect, or even the name of a book or copywritten book. It is an inner reality that we explore. It is a literal path that goes into the beyond and back to the ocean of love and all consciousness that some call God. Thanks for joining me today for this short podcast edition of Spiritual Awakening Radio. Say hello by sending me a text message or email as you prefer. The email address is james@spiritualawakeningradio.com. You can text me at this number, 508-603-0929. 9381. Tune in again for another edition of Spiritual Awakening Radio.